Hello everybody, hope you're having a fantastic day today. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Today I'm going to be talking about all the perk cards that will increase your damage. Now there is a lot of them, so maybe there might be a couple you're not aware of. I thought this would be a good video, especially for beginners as well. So let's get into it here. Okay, so again, there are a lot of perk cards to talk about. I'm going to talk about basically base damage buffing perk cards first, and then we'll get on to the rest after that. Okay, so what I consider like the base damage perks are like ones like Commando and Rifleman, ones that are like almost must-have perk cards for your build to make you do just a little bit more damage. Keeping in mind the initial perk card does 10% damage, whereas every subsequent one will be only 5%. So if you can't fit them all on, maybe it's better to have 2 level 1s on. But more often than not, you're going to want to just have all 3 of these on to level 3. There's ones for Commando, there's ones for semi-automatic rifles, which is Rifleman as well. And pretty much every class of weapon will have some sort of perk card that will just buff that damage, and they're pretty much a must in my opinion. Like Commando we were just talking about as well as for fully automatic rifles, Rifleman's for semi-automatic rifles. Heavy Gunner is for heavy guns. It does not have a semi-automatic version. Same thing with Shotgunner. This is what buffs shotguns. Gunslinger for pistols as well, and there is a non-automatic and an automatic one, which is Gorilla if you're using automatic pistols. Slugger is for two-handed melee. So if you're holding a weapon with 2 hands, and Gladiator is for one-handed melee weapons. And Iron Fist is for weapons like the Agua Gauntlet or the Power Fist if you wanted to use that. This does not have 3, so it doesn't have Expert and it doesn't have Master. And there's also ones for the bow as well, which is the Archer perk cards. That does have an Expert and a Master. Now there's perk cards that do cripple enemies. They don't really do any extra damage, but they're amazing to have on if you want to just stagger your enemies or even have a chance to cripple them so they can't even move. There's one for every class as well, which I'm showing here. And as you can see, like say you got a Mirelurk Queen chasing you, you might be able to target their legs, and then they won't be able to chase you anymore, which is definitely convenient. Doesn't buff the damage, just thought I'd throw it out there. Now these are basically the base damage perk cards that you would most likely want to have on a lot of the time. Let's get into some other perk cards that will buff damage other ways. Adrenaline is a great perk card. The more enemies you kill, the more damage you're going to do, and it's going to last up to 30 seconds, I think. Or maybe even a minute, I could be wrong, but if for killing general mobs, like level 3 to 5 for this one is definitely a must-have for my builds. I usually just put on level 5 just so I'm doing more and more damage in case I get rushed by a lot of enemies. And you can see here, I'm going to kill a couple enemies, and then we will see that the adrenaline's going off. And I think it does last 60 seconds, or is it 30 seconds we're going to see here? It is a minute we're getting, so an extra 40% damage just for killing those enemies. Now I'm going to go on and kill some more, and I will have that extra damage. Great perk card. Almost a must-have for, general mobbing. Better Criticals, very good perk card, especially if you're using VATS a lot. You're just going to want to have this on. Now, what you do is you hold down the critical button and the fire button at the same time. You can see it's triangle for me on PlayStation. It might be something different for you on the platform, but it should tell you at the bottom of the screen there when you're in VATS. And you can see every time this bar is jumping here, that's a critical going off. So it's, like I said, it's almost a must perk card for me, especially if I'm using rifles. If I'm using heavy gunner or heavy guns, then I won't use it because I'm not using VATS. Bloody Mess, awesome perk card, definitely a must for most of my builds. An extra 15% damage, can't go wrong. Basher. Gun bashing does an extra 25 to 50% extra damage. Please let me know in the comments if you have a use for this. I would love to hear from it. I just don't go around bashing things with guns. Concentrated Fire is an awesome perk as well because I was showing earlier, like you can target limbs, you can target the head more often than not for more damage. I target an Assaultron here on the leg because that's their weak point actually, and you can see it's just good for taking out enemies quicker, especially if you're aiming on their head, for most enemies. Covert Operative, another great perk card for extra sneak damage. If you're doing that stealth build with the Fixer, this is almost a must. You're just going to get tons of extra damage. Very very overpowered way of playing is Stealth Commando. As you can see here, an extra 2.5% damage. Or sorry, just 2.5 times damage. Demolition Expert, a great perk card for doing extra damage with explosives. It's very good with the grenade launcher, nuka grenades, pretty much anything that will explode, including guns with the explosive effect. And here you can see me throwing a grenade into White Springs. Pretty much got most of the ghouls in there. This is without any XP buffs or being on a team as well. Exterminator and Glow Sight. I find myself throwing these perk cards on. They're not a must, but they will do extra damage to insects and glowing enemies, and it's just nice to have that, you know, ability to do the extra damage. Gun Fu, another perk card that I don't really am a big fan of. I'll probably get some hate in the comments for this, but for general mobbing, I can definitely see how it can be good, as when you are done killing one enemy, it will just target the next one and do more damage. Now, I just don't like it moving around like wherever it wants to go on its own, but that's just my opinion, of course. Incisor, a way to ignore armor for your enemies if you're using a melee weapon. Mr. Sandman goes great with silenced weapons, as you will do more sneak damage. Nerd Rage, this is a must damage buff perk card for a low health bloody build or unyielding armor set type build. You're just going to do more damage with this perk card on, and you're going to have, you know, more damage resistance as well. Ninja, another good one that goes well with the sneak perk cards. You will do an additional 30% sneak damage, but only if you're using a melee weapon. Ricochet. Now, this perk card doesn't do a lot of damage. It will reflect damage back to your enemies, but if you put this with a vampire's weapon, this is one of the best perk cards in the game. When you do damage, or sorry, when an enemy does get ricocheted back at them for hurting you, you will get that health as well. Now, if you combine that with the vampire weapon, which is how it works, and shoot the enemies, you're just going to get tons of health back, and you will probably never need to use stim packs again. Awesome perk card. The science perk cards. Now, this doesn't include any heavy guns, so the Holy Fire or an explosive 50 cal this would not work for, but like an ultrasight laser, the plasma, not the plasma caster, the Enclave plasma rifle. Great perk cards to buff the damage for those type of weapons. Anything that's not a heavy weapon. Stabilized, almost a must-have perk if you're in a power armor to negate some armor. Bow Before Me, another great one to negate the armor if you are using a crossbow. And Tank Killer if you are using pistols or rifle. Must-have perks for that extra armor penetration. Tenderizer, extra 5% more damage for 5 seconds after attacking. Why not? I throw this on almost every build. Now, last but not least, the legendary perk cards. Follow Through, another great one to combine with any stealth build, as you will get that range sneak damage. And Taking One for the Team, another great perk card. More not for like regular mobs, but if you're gonna fight like a bigger, tankier enemy, Take One for the Team is almost a must. And that's pretty much it for the damage buffing perks, everybody. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that I missed that you would like to add. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.